lamb skin bag right here. This is where they cut the skin off of the shoulder side of the cow right here, and there's a hole in the leather. This is stuff that a lot of factories would just toss. They wouldn't even use this whole part. They would end up sending it somewhere else or making a very small component for a bag out of it. I use it as the inspiration of the whole shape. I don't use dyes. I don't use patterns for my larger bags. I lay the skin right out and draw the bag directly onto it. It's a way that I think a small designer can capitalize off the fact that they're not using a factory or assembly line production. It's something you can do at this scale that they can't do at the larger scale, which is my hope that I can compete with large manufacturing outfits. Most labels that you purchase in stores are things that have been punched out, stamped out, and they make thousands of them. It's my hope, and I've noticed a growing trend in buying local, sustainable products. SOA Market in Boston is an independent design market where I sell my work. You'll see in most cities they have markets for local independent designers. New York has a ton of them where you can bring small batches in, and it's one way of making a small business model work. I'm just going to show a couple more bags before opening up to questions. This design is very special to me. It's something that I plan to continue with a lot in the future. I'm using nuts and bolts to hold the straps on and also on the top flap. I'm going to make some more structured bags using these nuts and bolts for my next fall collection. The bag itself is very light. I like the contrast of the airy quality of this mesh material and then the industrial quality of the hex nuts and bolts that I've used on here. I have other bags that you can come up and look at later. Oh, one other thing that I'll mention. Something else that I'm working with right now, this is flocked material. Flocking is a process where they blow a velvety powder onto the, or fiber onto a fabric to give it this velvety feel. This is a process called spot flocking, where they make a pattern, and this is actually Christian Dior upholstering fabric that I use for this. There is a company in Rhode Island that produces the fiber used for flocking. I reached out to them there in Woonsocket, and they put me in contact with a company in Wisconsin that actually does this very specialized form of spot flocking. So I'm designing custom spot flocking fabric right now for my next fall collection as well. And I could talk and talk all day. This is my passion. This is what I love to do. But I want to know if anyone has a question about what I do or how I got here, how I make what I make. Now's a good time to finish with that. And there may be a reward for someone who asks a question. Yes?
How did you start getting in contact with such bigger department stores like?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The short version is I found a rep. And they are the ones that put me in contact or sold my product to the stores. The long version is it wasn't really worth it in the end. There is no substitute for pounding the pavement, figuring out who the buyers are, sending them line sheets, being persistent, and doing the work yourself so that you don't have to pay other people to do a mediocre job for you. It can pay off if you want larger distribution, but if your production capacity is relatively small, best thing is to figure out who do you know that has a store? Who do you know that knows someone who has a store? I would start there, figure out how you can sell to smaller stores, and then start thinking about getting your foot in the door with bigger stores. Henry Bendel in New York does have an open sea twice a year. You can go camp out on the sidewalk with a bunch of other young bohemian designers, and you'll get a chance to show your work to their buyers as well. Wait, just one second. What's your name?
Oh, mine?
Yeah.
Jen.
Jen. Okay, if you ask me a question, just give me your name. Okay. All right. Next question. Yeah.
After deciding that you wanted to make handbags, how long did it take you to learn how to sew effectively? And
I still haven't learned how to sew effectively. You're always learning. Those first pieces, were not incredibly well constructed, but the people who were buying them knew that they were making an investment in something that someday could actually turn into something much bigger. What's your name?
Raina?
Rena?
Raina? Yep.
Raina, okay, sorry. Next, yeah. Yeah.
Are you gonna branch out?
Wait. Ah. What's your name?
Me,
Yeah,
Liz McLaughlin.
Liz, okay. All right, yeah?
Do you think you're gonna branch out into other accessories like jewelry or something like that with the cars and stuff?
Well, that's a really good question. I think I have to because I don't own the licensing rights to many of the Matchbox cars, so I won't be able to continue using them. I probably won't make jewelry specifically, but maybe components of bags that can be removed and worn as jewelry pieces, so. In the back, way in the back.
For the images that you use, do you print them off like on Google, like where do you get those images from?
Photographs and artwork of mine.
So just yours?
Just of mine, yes. There, if you're going to be using other people's images, you want to make sure you obtain the licensing and permission to use them first. Very, very important lesson to learn, hopefully the easy way. What's your name?
Oh, Dolly.
Dolly, okay. Yeah?
Is animal cruelty an issue with you? Do you believe in it or are you against it?
Yeah, I'm vegan. It's a real consideration for me. I know, the worst vegan ever. If you're working with synthetic materials, think about the environmental impact of synthetics. They take 1 million years to break down. If you're working with leather, it's a natural biodegradable material. Is it sustainable? When I purchase the skins directly from the hunter, I know that the material, the funding, the money is going directly to the people that are doing the work for it. What's your name?
Blair.
Blair. Okay, so if you can just start with your name because I'm keeping track. Sorry. Thanks for asking. Yeah.
Kayla,
Kayla.
do you have a preferred material that you like to use in your bag?
I like everything.
Okay.
Anyone else? I'm gonna go back and then come back. Yeah, you in the blue t-shirt. What's your name?
Marilyn.
Marilyn.
Usually, my question is, usually when people get as successful with lines like this, they usually like to move to bigger city or like leave Rhode Island because they feel like Rhode Island is not the market for it. What has made you remain here?
I fell in love here. The short answer. It's also a great place to work. There's so many resources with the remnants of the costume jewelry manufacturing industry. People are incredibly accessible and receptive to working with new emerging designers who show promise. It's actually a great area to be working in because of all the resources here. But I do travel a lot. I go to New York a fair amount for my work. Yeah, what's your name?
Jen,
Jen, okay.
what gave you the inspiration to do your fashion show with the characters?
I didn't want to have skinny models walking down the runway. I wanted my models to be grotesque and giant and the exact opposite of what people have come to expect from runway shows. Yeah. Alexis. Okay.
What's your price range for like the clutches?
Yeah, good question. $35 to the sky's the limit. Yeah, what's your name?
Rebecca,
Rebecca.
you said that when you first put your artwork on a bag, it was sold to the first person who saw
Yeah.
it. After that, was there kind of a drop off where you had like kind of issues with that, or were people really eager to buy it?
I sold that first bag right away and I went home and made some more bags immediately. So, and then I had a show at the store where I was working. They let me have one event at the store where I would get to sell them, and I sold 5 that night, and they said, you know what, just keep selling them here. Yeah. What's your name? Pink.
Amanda.
Amanda.
So you started selling in bigger department stores.
Yeah.
What's next for you? Do you want to open a boutique or have your own?
Well, the
line?
ultimate goal for me is to be able to keep doing this indefinitely.
Just
So
on
if,
your own.
yeah, so if that means staying small for the time being so that I don't start drowning in supporting a business that needs more than I can provide, then I'll stay small. I want to do this.
Do you feel like there's a big enough market for you just to do it individually?
I think that it's not always a bad idea to keep things small and figure out on the small model before taking on the immense risk of expanding and having a lot of other people who are relying on you paying their way too. Yeah. Way in back.
This relates.
What's your name, just a sec?
Oh, no,
Alyssa?
This relates on to what she was just talking about. Are
Yeah.
you your only employee, and do you want to expand like a little bit?
Yeah, really good question. Last year I made 1,000 handbags by myself and sold 1,000 handbags by myself. This year I'm setting a goal of 2,000. I can't do it on my own. I do have an assistant who started working with me. I'm going to be doing a big trade show in August at the Javits Center in New York. I'll need to have an assistant for that, so I'll probably need an intern.
I usually go to that one, so I'll probably see you.
Okay, perfect, great. Yes.
You don't have to take my name. Did you find that you had some roadblocks in terms of your attitude in moving from fine arts into fashion?
No, not at all. I love fashion. I love shoes and bags, and I love selling things that I've made. So there was no roadblock for me at all. I didn't think that I was selling out. I mean, I didn't even care if I was selling out to do it, honestly. I was selling something. Yeah,
My name is Zoili.
Zoili.
The labels that go into your bags, do you like embroider them yourself, or do you have like a company do it for you?
Sure, there have been many variations of the labels. The first labels that I use, I was printing myself. It's really easy to silk screen your own labels, start off that way. But now when I'm putting $1,000 price tag on a handbag, it has to have a really nice label. So these labels, I actually worked with a jeweler, oops, it's up there, a jeweler to make a mold for this label that's then plated, and I had to order 1,000 of them, but you know, it's part of the progression. So now my labels look really professional, and people don't think that I'm not legit when I'm asking for a lot of money for these. So start with labels that you make on your own, either printing or silk screening, and then someday you'll be able to use a jeweler to make larger quantities of metal labels. Yes?
Like you are clearly artistic. What made you choose pre-med?
I was an artist in denial. I got into Brown on the science track, and I wanted people to know that I was smart. And I thought, you know, it's my own hang-ups, it's my own issues. So I spent a while doing something that wasn't the right fit for me. If you're graduating, chances are really, really good that you're going to spend a while doing something that you don't entirely love. That time is really important to figure out your own values and how much you really care about doing what you're most passionate about. We have time for a couple more questions. Yeah, what's new?
Meryl,
Meryl.
do you sell your bags at any like local boutiques?
If you like my work or you think that I'm not a total dork, you can like me on Facebook, Ken Stetson Handbags, Twitter, Ken Stetson Handbags without any vowels. I list all the events that I'm doing on my website, kenstetson.com. In June, I will be selling in a boutique in Providence that's opening in the Arcade Building, which has been closed and is being reopened this summer. So, yeah.
Is all like the art and the stuff on the computer, do you teach it to yourself, or do you
I-
take it in classes?
Yeah, I ended up doing a lot of digital art in new media at Brown my senior year, so I did learn Photoshop in a class. I took a continuing ed course at the Rhode Island School of Design to learn Illustrator. Those courses are about $400 to learn any of these programs. They're offered on evenings, summer programs. If you want to learn how to use the software, I do recommend taking a class. It's the fastest way to do so. Just what's your name first?
Lauren?
Lauren, okay. And I didn't get your name either.
Mary.
Mary, all right. We have time for one more question. Yes, two more. I got you. After, yeah,
My name is Megan.
okay.
Have you sold anything to anyone in other countries?
Anyone in other countries? Yeah, I sold to a store in Singapore, and I'm working with a store in Bangkok right now. So, and possibly opening into markets in China, although that's a little scary. Yes, you know.
My question was like similar to yours. I was wondering what foreign countries you've been to, and would you consider like opening into that market?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of this model of growth. I would love to be able to pay for myself to travel around the world by bringing bags with me and selling them in small markets and stores around the world. So it's definitely a dream of mine to be able to do that. So I think so, as long as I don't feel like I'm compromising my work or perhaps risking losing ownership of my designs in doing so. Yeah, and I think that's all the time we have. What's your name? I? Okay. So I'm going to randomly draw one of these names from someone who asked a question, and you can come up and pick a bag, clutch bag, not like the $1,000 bag. I'm not seeing that, so just going to draw one name. So, Raina. Hey. I'm going to hang out for a little while afterwards if you still want to ask me